husband Dan and I check into this incredibly bougie boutique hotel in Old Montreal. And as we are settling into the room and unpacking, I realize that I've left the lens cap to my camera down at the concierge. So I turn to Dan and I say, can you please go downstairs and get it for me? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he leaves the room, he closes the door behind him, and while he's gone, I plop down into a chair and I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't believe you lost the cap to your camera. This is just, like, you're an idiot. At this point in my life, there was a lot going on, and it kind of just, this little minor thing just kind of felt like one more thing. I had taken a pause in my career and was in the middle of a program that was meant to teach me some new skills that would make me more marketable within my industry. But very early on, I figured out that I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated the process. But I was determined to stick through and get to the end and maybe make a career out of this and maybe even like it. But in my heart of hearts, I knew this was just the worst possible thing, and the thought of having this as a career was literally a nightmare scenario to me. So as I'm sitting there in this chair, wallowing in my own self-pity, I hear the door latch to the room, and I look up and I see the door open and I see it come to a stop, but there's no one there. And I think to myself, ah, shit. Because I come from a South Asian family, and like every third person in my family has some kind of spooky story, so this is not super out of the realm of like possibility to me. I wait a beat, nothing seems to happen, so I cautiously get up and I walk over and I close the door. A couple of minutes later, Dan walks through, and the first thing I say to him is, while you were gone, the door opened by itself. And he looked at the door, and he looks at me, and he goes, okay. And then we just resume unpacking. So I've gathered up my toiletries and my makeup, and I go into the bathroom, and I'm gonna set up in there, but almost immediately I'm hit with this incredibly strong sense of someone watching me. And it's so overwhelming that I'm convinced that if I look in the mirror, I'm going to see whatever's watching me. So I make a point of just not looking in the mirror, and I pick up all the things that I need, like my makeup and things like that, that I don't really need the bathroom for, and I take them back out into the main room, and that is the only mirror I'm going to look into while I'm here. So, you know, we get ready, we go out, we're gonna have a good time, and you know, all is fine. The next day, I need to take a shower. So I go back into this bathroom, I don't close the door behind me, and I get in and I'm washing my hair, and I'm again hit with this overwhelming sense that someone is watching me and someone is in this bathroom with me. I know with 100% certainty there's someone on the other side of the curtain, but I don't really want to deal with this, and I don't want to see it, and I don't want it to interact with me, so I'm just like, I'm gonna fucking ignore it. I'm just gonna ignore it, I'm gonna wash my hair. You know what, I'm probably just being crazy. I've just convinced myself that there's something going on. I just have to get past this, it'll be fine. And so while I'm having this little pep talk, I can hear Dan out in the main room, like puttering around, doing whatever he's doing, and he's got the radio on and he's listening to some Quebecois like pop station, and I know it's a full-on Quebecois pop station because every third song sounds like Bobby Pin, if you know that song. And so, like I'm washing my hair, I'm listening to this music, and I hear Dan call my name. I hear Salma, and I'm like, what? There's no response. I'm like, Dan, what? And a couple of seconds later, he enters the bathroom, and he's like, are you calling me? And I say, yeah, you called me, what do you want? And he's like, I didn't call you. And my stomach just drops. And I'm like, I don't say anything to Dan, but I'm now just terrified. And I can tell that he can tell that I'm scared. So I guess in an attempt to reassure me, he says, you know what, it was probably just the music, nothing's going on. And I reply, I'm sure you're right. And I just resolve to wrap up this shower as fast as I can and get the fuck out of this bathroom. So, you know, I'm out in the main room, I get ready, we go out for the evening. We come back a few hours later, obviously, and imagine the rest of the story was just, and then we fucked off forever. But then we return, we come back, and we're getting ready to go to sleep. And like, you know, we're in bed, and I'm lying down, and all of a sudden, I just bolt upright in this bed. And all I can see is the entryway and the entry light in this room. I have completely tunnel visioned. I can't see anything else. And I'm every inch of my body and my mind is on high alert. And I just start repeating, I have to keep watching. If I don't keep watching, if he's going to come. I have to keep looking because as soon as I look away, he's going to come. And I don't want him to come in here. I don't want to deal with this. Like, I have to watch. It's the only thing I can do. And Dan sits up and he's like, are you okay? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, he's going to come. If I look away, he's going to come. I have to watch this door. Otherwise, he's going to be here, and I don't want it. I don't want this. And Dan's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. There's nothing going on. You're okay. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. He's going to come, and I don't want to see him. And as I'm saying this, almost as if I am recalling a memory, I see a man. And the only difference being that I don't know who this man is. I've never seen him before. He's this middle-aged man with graying hair and like about 5'7", 5'8"-ish. He's wearing like a military outfit, and it's blue, and it's got like some gold accenting on it. And I don't get a sense of him being threatening or malicious. I just, if anything, he actually looks kind of bored. But bored or not, I don't want to fucking deal with this. So I am now in full panic mode. And I'm just like, I don't want him to come. If I look away, he's going to be here. He's going to actually enter this room, and I don't want this. I don't want him to be here. And I just repeat this over and over again with like greater urgency while refusing to look away. So Dan is like rubbing my back and trying to calm me down, and he says, I don't think, like, there's nothing going on, but if it makes you feel better, I'll keep watch and you can go to sleep. And I'm like, you have to keep watching. If you take your eyes off of it, he's gonna come, and you have to keep watching. And he's like, okay, I promise, I will keep watching. And so, true to his word, he sits up and he just sits there staring at the entryway, and I lie down, and eventually I fall asleep. It feels like zero time has passed when my eyes just pop open, and it's like I can see Dan asleep, like the form of Dan asleep next to me in the bed, and I'm facing him, and the room is dark. But just as I know that Dan is lying in this bed with me, I know that this man is standing behind me on the other side of the bed watching us. And I am terrified. So I'm just lying there, and I'm like, I know that if I turn around, I'm gonna come face to face with this man. And so I'm lying there, and I'm perfect, it was him, he was saying hi. And so I'm lying there, and I'm terrified. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what do I do? And then I think to myself, this motherfucker, like, this motherfucker knows how scared I am. He knows I'm not enjoying this. He knows I don't want to see him, and yet here he is. He's fucking here, he's standing here, scaring the shit out of me. What the fuck is his problem? Fuck this guy. Fuck him and his whole dead deal. Like, I'm glad he's dead. Whatever, this is my weekend. I paid for this room. Fuck you. So, because again, South Asian. So, I was like, fuck you. So, I just pull the blankets up over my head, I shut my eyes, and eventually I fall asleep. The next morning I wake up, and for the first time since we've arrived, I don't feel anything in this room. He's gone. He's like completely vacated, and there's just this sense of like calm, and it feels so much more open and bright in this room, and I'm just like, oh, thank God. So, you know, of course, on this same day is the day we check out. So, so we go downstairs, and Dan, you know, he's taking our bags to the car, and I go up to the concierge to check out, and I and I'm greeted by this like very dapper, very like well-groomed, affable, very charming, like mid-30s-year-old man. Exactly the kind of man who would be the concierge at like a bougie boutique spa hotel in Montreal. And, you know, we're making chit chat, and I work up the courage to ask him, has anyone ever like made mention of seeing a ghost or experiencing anything here? And he's like, and he chuckles, and he's like, oh no, nothing of the sort has happened here. That would be silly. And I look at him, and I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure I just spent the entire weekend with one. And he just kind of stares at me for a beat, and then he turns back to the computer and finishes checking me out and says, have a great rest of the weekend. I hope you enjoyed your stay. And that's the end of it, and I leave. So we start heading back to Toronto, and I'm rattled by this experience because it was not great. I'm rattled by this experience, but I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I probably worked myself up, I probably got into my own head. You know, if something had been going on, I'm sure Dan would have sent something. It's not like he's a skeptic, and he's heard all the stories from my family, so he's kind of open to this idea. But he didn't see anything, and he didn't experience anything, so it was probably just me being stressed out, and this is how it came out. And at this point, it doesn't even matter because it's over now anyway. So we come back to Toronto, I don't talk about it, and then 6 months later, we're out for dinner with some friends of ours. And as is often what happens with this group of friends, the story becomes, like, we get to talking about ghosts. Like, shows we've watched, movies we've watched, stories we've heard, things like that. And I work up the courage to tell them this story. And this is the first time I've told anyone this story. And I end it with, but I don't think anything was really happening because, you know, Dan didn't experience anything and he didn't really believe me. To which he chimes in, oh no, I believed you. I believed you the entire time. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Why didn't you say anything? And he's like, do you not remember how scared you were? If I did anything beyond trying to calm you down, you would have had a breakdown. And I was like, and I agreed with him. And then I said, so what made you believe me? And he says, I didn't see anything, but I've never seen you behave like that in all the time I've known you. So, despite not experiencing anything myself, I definitely knew something was going on. The end.